Go me. I remembered to. Let me pull the chat back up really quickly and then move my mouse out of the way because I'm really good at hitting it when I'm not supposed to. So tonight we are going to be, well, let me knock it all over really quickly. We're going to be making this train set, and these do all hook together by chain, by the new memory hardware chain, but I have them separated now, that way I can kind of hold them up to the camera. So there's 7 little carts, and all I did was use children's building blocks, which I'll show you in just a second, and I just covered them in the Royal Menagerie paper, which was the first time of me using it, and I love it, love it. Thank you, Delana, I did hit record. So that is the first train cart, and this is supposed to be like the smoke, you know, on the front of the train. You know, I was trying to be creative with my embellishments and use them in some fun ways. So that's the first one. And it's full of technique, you guys. I've got tons of techniques to share with y'all. So I'll give you a really quick overview of each one. Hopefully it'll zoom in. I don't have a lot of the wheels that I used on here because I kind of pulled from my stash, but I do have most of them, so it will be good. So I'm just going to go ahead and give you an overview of all of the little carts really quickly so you can kind of see what we're going to be doing. I'm using a lot of I use so many Prima embellishments that I couldn't even keep up, to be honest. This is the end of it. This is using the Relics and Artifacts wings. Hopefully you guys can see all the color and shine and the metallic look to them. We're going to be doing some cool techniques using that. And then these 2 little guys right here. Last but not least, I used a lot of the new metals on these, which I really, really love. And then this one, I was trying to make it look like it was carrying, you know, coal, but it's too boyish, so I made like glitter coal. So this one is like holding a little pile of coal. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and move these out of the way, and then I will do the announcements. And if I need to pull those back out to reference them, I'm just gonna set them right here. Okay. And then we will get started. I did go ahead and do some prep work, so hopefully I won't have a lot of drying time and things like that, and we can just kind of get as many carts done as possible. I don't think I'll get all 7 done, but I'm going to try to get as many done as I possibly can. Okay, I have 2 announcements, and they're both about kits, so it's pretty exciting. First is the special delivery kit this month. You can get it at livewithprima.net. It is a school-themed kit this month, and it's perfect for all of your school photos, new or old. It's packed to the brim with goodies as usual. They sell out quickly, so go ahead and go grab yours. And then also, pretty exciting for all of you Julie Nutting stamping fanatics, there's a brand new Julie Nutting kit club. So if you're a fan and you need the dolls in your life, then check out the amazing kits. It's got a lot of the hard to find stamps, embellishments, everything. So it's a really cool new thing that they're doing. And that's also going to be at livewithprima.net. So go check those out. Okay, so like I said, I created the train using little blocks. These are just little kids building blocks. You could go to Home Depot and get little wooden, you know, planks, whatever you want to call them, cut up, anything you have in your stash. I just used a variety of these. I primed them with gesso first, so this one's primed with the gesso. And then I just started covering them with the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Royal Menagerie papers. And I use pretty much every single sheet. I'll give you a couple of the item numbers. This one is 847395, and it's clean for the day. I mean, all of these papers are gorgeous, and I tried to cut along all the printed sides to get some of those cool details on there. So I used pretty much, I think, one of the 12 by 12 sheets, maybe except this one. So that's the paper I used on them. And I did go ahead and cover these with paper just because I knew we were going to be in a time crunch. So all I did is use the matte gel, the 3D matte gel, and that item number is 961398. That was my adhesive, perfect adhesive for adhering this on here. So I just adhered all of my papers on there. To get my end pieces, I just set the wood piece down on a piece of paper, traced around it, got my little oval shape, and then adhered it. And then just used my Prima Distress tool to sand all my edges, make sure everything was all perfectly lined up, and that is where we're at, okay? So I just did that already because I can't imagine how much time it would take just to do that. So really quickly, the first thing we're going to do is do a quick coat of clear gesso because this is going to take a lot of mediums and I'm going to need them to hold up to it. So let me find my big paintbrush really quickly, and we are going to use some clear gesso. Alright, this one's still got paint on it from earlier, so please excuse the messy look. I know you guys will gasp if you saw how badly I treat my paintbrushes. But of course, these are the Thinnabear Art Basics paintbrushes. They're like the only ones I'll use now. The clear gesso, I don't know if I gave the item number, sorry y'all if I did, but it's 961466, and it's from the Art Basics line. And I might not get to look at the chat a lot because this is a really involved one tonight, so I'm going to try to not go over. So if I don't respond to something, Miss Delana is modding tonight, and she has got all the info, and if there's any questions I can answer, she'll ask me. She'll text me or something, and I'll answer it. So I'm just going ahead and coating all of these with clear gesso. I'm just pretty sloppy about it. I don't really take my time and try to do it all nice and neat. And I usually just dip in the cap, the lid to the jar, because I don't want to dip in there. It gets just way too much on there. So I typically just use whatever is on the lid when I'm doing my clear gesso. So I'm just going to go over all of these really quickly because we're going to be using the color bloom sprays and the mica powders, a little bit of alcohol inks, oil pastels, the Prima palette markers. I mean, you name it, we're going to use it tonight. So this is very product heavy. So like I said, I tried to pick pieces of the Royal Menagerie paper that had a lot of detail to it to let that be my focal point. Okay, that is good enough for me. I did gesso them once before the show, so that was just my second coat to make sure that everything is perfect. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, because it does take a while to dry, is we are going to make a little paste. Let me find one to show you really quickly. Let me pull one out over here. This one's perfect. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but like on the sides here, there is some of the tiny micro beads, and they're kind of all over. It's really hard to tell, but maybe in the close-up pictures you'll be able to see more. So what we're going to do is create a little paste, and I'm sure you guys have seen this done. A lot of the gals on the Prima team do it, and any mixed media person. But it was my first time doing it, so I really had fun with it. So all I'm going to do is take some of my 3D matte gel, which the product number is 961398, and I've just got a acrylic block here that I'm going to be using. Art Basics definitely are the bomb. Lisa, I love them so much. I've been slowly building up my stash and getting more and more of them. So I can't really give you an exact measurement. I am just doing a couple of little scoops about that big. A couple of little globs, I guess I should say. And if I need more, I can make more. I'd rather need to make more than waste a bunch of products, so I'm just going to put that much out. And now I'm going to grab my micro beads. I'm using these Splash micro beads, which are this beautiful, beautiful blue color. I'm so obsessed. You can see how much I've used already. I'm almost out. This was all on this project too. The item number is 962630. I'm going to try to, hello song, I see you on there. I'm going to try to pour this into here. Yeah, that's not going to work. Let me go over my thing just so I don't make a huge mess. I'm just going to pour some on there. A pretty liberal amount, just like that, and then I'm going to start mixing it together. So I'm going to have some runoff for a second, but then it'll start mixing together really nicely. Okay, and you can kind of tell you want it to be really thick, so I'm going to add some more. The matte gel does dry clear, so all you will see at the end, I don't know if you could see through the webcam or not, but in the pictures you can see that where I used this, it did dry clear. So it looks all white now and weird and not really pretty, but when this dries, all you see are the micro beads. So you can see why I use so much. Because I wanted a really thick paste, but not too thick because we're going to be using it through a stencil, so You want it to be able to spread on there. Okay, I think that is good. I don't know if y'all can see the consistency there, but it's pretty thick. Okay, let me pour my excess back in here really quickly. Alright, I'm going to grab one of my Prima stencils, and I don't even know if I added this on the supply list. It's called Fluttering Flowers, I think. Maybe Delana can pull it up. It's one of the newer ones. It came with the wild roses and all that. But I really love, I mean, I know it's supposed to be flowers, but I just think it's such a great background one. So I'm going to go ahead and take my little pieces and just randomly add some of the paste that we just made. So it's really thick and it's going to be gritty, and I really don't like the sound of it for some reason. It's kind of like nails on a chalkboard, but we're just going to use a good amount, spread it on there. And then lift up, and then hopefully y'all can see that. So it looks very whitish right now, but like I said, when it dries, it's completely clear. So I'm going to go back on here and just put it on the top. And get some on there too. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so we have some on the top now as well, so it's going all the way around. Okay, so we're going to put that one to the side to dry. We're going to do a couple more of them. And then while this is drying, we're going to do some of our embellishments. We're going to alter our relics and artifacts because they are a little time consuming. I've just been experimenting with those bad boys. They're just so amazing. There's so many possibilities with them. There's a Facebook group. I mean, I know there's Live with Prima. There's a ton of Prima Facebook groups. And Sandra has one too for the relics and artifacts. And the stuff that the ladies come up with on there is just jaw-dropping. I mean, there's so many possibilities when you alter these. Okay, I'm going to do one more with the stencil. And I can tell right now I already used too much. So we're going to have to figure out another use with this. Oh, never mind. We're going to use it for the cold part. So totally ignore what I just said. We probably are going to need to make some more, actually. Okay. So I'm going to scrape this off. And to make our coal like we did, or like I did on the top of this one, let me grab it really quickly. Hopefully you guys can see that. So this is the front of it. And I put the new Dresden trim around there and just kind of piled up the paste, okay? So that is what we're going to do, because that is going to take forever to dry. So I'm going to go ahead and just take my paste here, and I literally just scooped a big amount on top of there. Doesn't have to be perfect, because as it starts to dry, you can kind of work it and make it smoother. I used my finger once it started drying. So I'm just going to make sure it's up at the top. We're trying to create the effect of like a train that's actually transporting coal or diamonds, glitter. That's a girly train. Okay, so that is what we're going to end up with. Hopefully the light is showing. It's not perfect, but as it starts to dry, we can totally spruce it up. If we need to add more, we can add more, but we're going to let that dry first, okay? So we're going to let that just sit to the side. And I'm going to throw this down here in some water really quickly. Okay, because I don't feel like washing it right now, and I don't want to ruin it. Okay, so while that is drying, we're going to work on our relics and artifacts. So one of the ones I'm going to be using is from the Rising Spirit, and like I said, I used this piece right here just so it would kind of look like smoke, and the item number is 941727. So I'm going to just take this guy out, put that to the side for now. I loosen up my my screw here. For some reason I wanted to call it a corkscrew. I loosen it up a little bit, but I keep it on there because this is how I'm going to hold it a lot of the times. So we're going to grab our 3D matte gel again. And then this is not a Prima product, but But I was inspired by Frank because he altered them with metallic paint and it looked really awesome. And I remembered I had bought like a ton of gold leafing and silver leafing, and it just comes on these sheets like this. I got these at Michael's. They're from Martha Stewart. Let me grab it really quickly. So it just comes in a pack like this from Martha Stewart. You get a ton of them. So I'm using the silver ones, okay? So I'm just going to grab my paintbrush again, wipe off that gel medium from earlier. Okay, now this is not a perfect process. If you do this at home, you'll realize that it's really not. You don't have to have full coverage on this, I guess is what I'm going to say, because we're going to be doing other mediums and stuff. So I'm just taking my matte gel, not a lot, because I don't want to fill in any of those fine details. Let me move this light just a little bit. 1 second, y'all. I feel like that light is just kind of blinding it. Okay. Yep, that's better. So just add a little bit at a time, and I usually do 1/2 and then do the other half. So I'm just adding the gloss gel on there, making sure it's nice and smooth. And then I'm going to take this foil sheet and I'm just going to put my piece down, take the foil, and just push it on here. And you're going to kind of use your fingernails, which I don't really have any. If you need to use a bone folder or whatever, you can use that. But this stuff really starts sticking immediately and it doesn't need much work. So I'm just going to use my fingers to kind of go all the way around. So I'm kind of crunching this whole sheet up. And I'm just adding it on there. So you can see how totally imperfect that is. It's like everywhere. I don't know if you can see how messy that is. The camera's not really picking it up well. So you're going to take a paper towel and just kind of push down on it. And that will make it go into all of those creases and fine details, because these pieces are very detailed. And I don't like to paint them because I feel like a lot of times it kind of takes away the detail, especially on like the cameos and some of the faces and stuff. Okay, so then you're going to go anywhere that there's a huge gap. We're going to do a lot more techniques to these, so it really doesn't have to be perfect at all. I could have left the bottom just like that, but I'm going to add a little bit more on there. And this, obviously, this technique will work better on, you know, flatter ones. This piece has so many little lines. Yep, Martha Stewart silver leaf sheet. Thank you, Delana. That one worked better. Okay, and then I use a paper towel to just kind of push it. As soon as I get it done, I'll hold it up and let the camera zoom in and pick it up. Alright, I'm going to start working on the top half now. So I didn't paint this, I didn't prime this, I didn't do anything. I'm going to go ahead and take my little screw out. Okay, just adding it to the top half. And you want to add a little bit to the back too, that way it will grab around there too. Okay. But you know, you could totally use metallic paint if you feel like this is just, I feel like this is quicker than painting it. For some reason I just don't like to paint things and wait for them to dry, so I usually go for this option if I'm going to do like a metallic finish. So there we go. Let me get all this pushed down and then I will show you guys what it looks like. And it is definitely not perfect by any means, but when we're all done, it will look really super cool. And you'll get a lot of excess pieces, and we're going to use those too. Alright, so this is what it looks like so far. It's really metallic. Hopefully that's going to come across on camera, just how super metallic that is. It's really, really metallic. Okay, I'm going to put that to the side for now. Okay, then I'm going to put a coat of clear gesso on top, just super quickly. Yeah, I've had this gold leafing stuff in my stash for forever, and I was like, I've got to start using this. So I'm just putting a very thin layer of clear gesso and just kind of dabbing the excess off. That's just going to kind of seal it in and give me a better surface for my mediums. Okay, so that's just the Art Basics clear gesso, and I don't know if I gave the number earlier. It's 961-466. Okay, so now I was late to the whole color bloom spray family. I was late to it. I didn't have them until, I don't know, maybe a month ago. Super in love with them. So the first one we're going to use is the Soft Teal, which is my absolute favorite one. This color is amazing. So this product number is, let's see here, 573782. And let me grab my glass mat really quickly because I don't want to make a mess on my Prima mat because Miss Delana will kill me for that. Okay. So, oh, the wings I did ahead of time, and I already have them sprayed with the blue too. So I added the gold or silver leafing to them and sprayed them off camera. Just for time saving purposes. Okay, so I'm just going to spray it. Just like that. And I'm going to let that dry completely. Now, while this excess spray is on here, I do not like to waste any of it. So I took the Dresden trim, which I absolutely love. It's so amazing. It's from Sandra Evertson's line. It comes in a big pack like this, and I have been using it like crazy. The product number is 942441. So I took it, and I already prepped this one, but I'm going to show you really quickly what I do when I'm done prepping it, and we'll prep the other one together. I just kind of rub it through here like that. I just don't like to waste my product. So I just picked it up on the Dresden. Hopefully y'all can see that. So now it's got some blue on there. Okay, so while we wait on that piece to dry, I'm going to set it to the side. I'm going to grab a little bit of alcohol ink because you guys know how much I love alcohol ink. So I'm going to give one quick little spray here. These have already, the process I just did, that's where we're at with these. They've been silver leafed and they've been sprayed with the blue, and it's completely dry. So now I'm going to spritz them with water and add just like a drop, one at the top, one at the bottom. Spray it and just dab up the excess because we don't want to completely cover up the metal. We just want a little bit. Okay, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do this one too. It might not turn out exactly right because I'm kind of rushing it, not drying it. But, and typically when I do the alcohol ink, any of the areas that did not get covered up with the leafing, that is what I'll go for. So if like there's a white area, I'll typically aim my alcohol ink there. So that way everything looks completely covered in the end. Okay, now I'm going to grab some of the Cold Pink Iridescent Mica Powder. I absolutely love this stuff. It's so, so beautiful. Okay, the product number for this is 962869. I'm going to tap the lid a little bit because I find when I open it usually, sometimes it flies out and I don't like to waste. Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to tap a little bit out on my little glass mat here. And we're going to use this a lot on here. I'm going to grab one of my Prima water brushes, which I love. Squeeze a little bit of water and just mix it up right there into a liquid. And I don't know if you can see on here, but this stuff is just, oh, it's so amazing. It's beautiful. It's the perfect color pink too. Alright, so I'm mixing that up really well. And then I'm going to go in on here and use the pink too. So we want a lot of color variation. And because we did that clear gesso, this will really stick to it a lot better. Anytime you use gesso, things are going to stick better. That's just how it works. Okay, so that's good enough for me for now. Whenever it is dry from this point, we will add more details because you can see this one compared to the finished one here. Those wings have a lot more detail. Hopefully you can see that. So that's what it will end up looking like. But right now, we are going to let those dry and set them to the side. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with our first cart. This one is a fairly simple one. So I'm going to use some of that Dresden trim that I just showed you. And what I like to do with the trim, let me find my blank piece real quick. I might have to get another one out. Hold on one second. It amazes me how I'll get everything set out, and then when the show starts, it's like everything's gone. Okay, let me grab a piece really quickly. Plus, this will show y'all how easy it pulls apart. So you just take it, pull it apart. And it's like connected in 2 or 3 spots along it, and that's it. Okay, so then you have this whole long piece of Dresden trim. It's huge. Okay. So I'm going to cut it right there in that halfway point. And what I like to do to this, because I feel like you can see the back of this on this train. If this was on a layout or something, I wouldn't worry about it. But the white backing was bothering me on my train. So, one second, I lost you guys. Okay, there we go. So I like to take my Prima palette markers, and this one is A19 Honey. And I like to just color the back of it too. That way, if any of it gets shown, it's nice and pretty. And this pretty much matches the front, okay? So I just kind of go right along there and long strokes like that. And kind of cover the whole thing at the same time. And I use the skinny end because it's more flexible than the thick chiseled end. So I'm just coloring the back of my trim. That way, if you're wrapping it around things, it's still going to look pretty from either side. It's not going to have that nice metallic finish, but you know, it's still going to look pretty. Also, I took this Prima one, this palette marker. It's called Horizon Green, and it is $8.44. And I like to take these because they are like super permanent, and I like to just add a little bit of extra color on these. Just randomly go in and add some extra color. You guys can see that. Let me hold it up there. It just kind of gives it this patina look. Hopefully you guys can see that. So you can really play with your palette markers and get some cool effects on your Dresden trim. So now the back's colored and the front's colored. And then this one is the one we dipped in the color bloom spray too. So it's covered front and back, and I did some alcohol ink on it, okay? So I'm going to cover the bottom of this with the Dresden trim. And I'm going to go on the front here. And I accidentally did this upside down, so don't think I'm doing this on accident. The way I glued this, I don't want my glue line to be at the top. So it's going to be upside down. So sorry, y'all. Alright, I'm going to use hot glue for time purposes, but whatever adhesive you prefer is fine to use to adhere this. This is just a paper-based trim, so it's no big deal. It's very lightweight. Anything will hold it on there. Hot glue is super quick. That's why it's my friend. So I am just adding it all along the bottom edge there. And then I'm going to just wrap it around the side of my wooden block. Thank you, Delana, for linking that. Hello, Tiffany. I see that you are on here, my dear. If I've missed anybody, I'm so sorry. I just know I have a lot to cover tonight, and I don't want to leave out any of the techniques. I mean, as long as I show the techniques, you can make it on your own. I definitely want to get that part covered. Alright, so I'm just trimming off my excess. And I save every last scrap of this Dresden because you never know when you'll need just a little piece to tuck somewhere. Okay, after I'm done, I usually fluff up the bottom part. Okay. Now, for this one, when I did this, using the memory hardware pearls made the perfect wheels on these. I used the flat part of the pearls, and it just absolutely worked out perfectly. But I also used a ton of other things for my stash, which I'll show you in just a minute. The product number for these pearls is 990398. This is from Frank Garcia's line, the memory hardware pearls. So I'm going to find, let's see which size I use, this size. There's a bunch of different sizes in here. Well, there's like 3 or 4, and then in a couple of different colors. So just grab the size that you like. And for time purposes on here, I'm going to go ahead and use hot glue pretty much every time. But when I did these trains, I used Fabri-Tac or the matte gel to be my adhesive. So I'm going to just add a dot of hot glue. And just putting the flat part down, like where you would stick the thread through. I'm just going to adhere that down there. Okay, so I'm going to do that on both sides. And if you decide to make these or do anything similar, they will be a little wobbly, and I'm going to show a tip at the end to nip that in the bud. I'm not worried about any excess glue kind of falling out. That's just not a biggie for me. So these pearl, as you can see right now, this is not, it'll stand up on its own, but you have to have it balanced like perfectly. So I'm going to show you a tip at the end for getting rid of that. Okay, so now we're going to use some of our lovely, lovely new metal embellishments that I am so obsessed with, you guys. I can't stop using them. They come with this super amazing antique look, and I broke this one. It's actually the one we're going to use too. I was trying to bend it to fit something, and I didn't want to bend, so I broke it. But these are amazing. They come with this finish, but I want to make them more shabby, so I'm going to alter them. The item number is 583569, and while this was still on here, I went ahead and gessoed it. And don't kill me, y'all, but I'm going to cut that off. Okay. Because that's going to be easier for me. Alright, now I'm going to grab, all I did to this was add clear gesso. Okay, so it already had this whole look to it. So all I'm going to do is get some of my Frost Color Bloom Spray. I love the Color Bloom sprays, y'all. They're amazing. The item number is 582890. And I'm sorry that I cut that, y'all, but for these metals, I like to save my packaging too. But when I'm doing these, for some reason, I really like to keep them on the paper. It's easier for me to alter them that way. I don't know why. But this one is broke, but we're going to glue it on there. So I'm just spraying this with my Frost spray. Okay. I sprayed that like 4 or 5 times, and it completely changes this metal. I mean, it is just amazing. Like now it's a completely shabby chic looking metal piece. Okay, so I'm going to blot up a little bit of it, but not a ton. But it already completely altered the way that it looks. Let me grab the other one so I can compare. Tell me I didn't lose that already, because that's just what I do. I misplace everything. But you can see the difference already. I mean, it's so much lighter now. Okay, we're also going to go in with some of the mica powder. I'm going to leave a little pile over here in the corner. That way, when I need to use it, it's there. And I'll probably forget about it, and it'll get blown away. But for now, that's the idea. So again, I'm going to use my watercolor brush. Mix that up. Oh, the commercials are so annoying, I know. Doesn't everything just want you to pay money? You can pay money to make them go away, of course. So I'm just adding this on here, and I have to say, my favorite way of using the Finnabair micas are on metal. They really just come to life on metal. It's amazing how beautiful they look. And like they show up so well, it's crazy. Okay, so you can see now what that looks like. Super shabby looking. Okay, I'm going to add one more thing. I'm going to add like 1 or 2 drops of alcohol ink just to give it a little bit of that darkness back. Maybe right on that edge too. And then I'm just going to kind of blot it, spray a little, and blot it. Okay, now this needs to dry, but I don't have time for it to dry, so I'm going to go ahead and take it off. I love altering these metals. They are so much fun. Okay, this one is really easy. Before we adhere that though, one thing I'm going to do with all of that scrap, like you'll end up with a sheet that's got nothing but these little tiny pieces of foil on there. And what I like to do is just take the 3D matte gel and just kind of, you can take a smaller paintbrush, of course this one's huge, but just kind of randomly kind of just put little dots like that of the gel on there, just kind of randomly on the side, wherever, just random little dots of it. Hopefully y'all can see that. And then I'm going to try to skip all the pieces that have big chunks, but all these little excess pieces I'm going to kind of push on there like that. And you might get a big piece on there like that. Don't worry, you're going to be able to pull that right back off. This stuff is really fun to use. I love it. Okay, so after I do that, I just kind of rub it to get it only on the glued down areas, and it'll just fall away from the rest of them. And I like it if they kind of stand up a little bit. I think that looks really cool. So we're just kind of adding, it kind of makes it look like it's part of the paper. I don't want too much, so I'm going to kind of rub away a little bit of it, just a little bit, for some added interest. Okay, so just like that. Just a little bit of the foil there on the side is what I did to the one I made for my niece. All right, let me cover this up. All right, now we are going to adhere our metal piece. And like I said, it doesn't matter that it's broken because we're going to glue it right down. So I'm going to use a little bit of Fabri-Tac and a little bit of hot glue too, because it's metal and we need a better adhesive, but I want it to be quick too. I have the worst issues with Fabri-Tac, I swear. I love this glue because it's super strong, but it never wants to work for me, ever. Alright, so I'm adding 2 globs of the Fabri-Tac, and then I'm going to put 1 dot of hot glue. Make sure it's centered, yep, and just push it down on there. Then I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue on this piece, and just put it right there. So you can't even tell that that piece was broken. Okay, so that's all we have so far, really easy. Now we're going to put our little flower in the center, and then it's on to the wings, which since they are dry right now, I'm going to go ahead with the next step so it can be drying. And I'm going to be using another color bloom. This is the Worn Leather. It's super dark brown and I love it. And I like to squirt it on my mat and then use one of my paint brushes to add it on there because it is really dark and you don't want a ton of it. So just spray a little bit of water to get it worked in there and to not be so dark. And then I'm going to add a dot of alcohol ink too. I love, love, love using these relics and artifacts. They're so fun. And then after it's dry, I went in with more of the soft teal color bloom. But when everything's wet, it's not acting right. Okay. So just kind of let that run around, kind of go in between all the grooves. Set it back to the side. Get my other piece up here really quickly. Do not like to waste any of my color bloom spray, so I'll kind of put it on anything. Let's see, where was that scrap piece of Dresden real quick? Okay, I don't like to waste it. All right. So next step, let me grab some flowers here. I'm going to use some of the flowers from the Royal Menagerie, and these are called Helenas. They're absolutely gorgeous. They're in the pink tones, but I'm going to kind of alter them up with a little bit of the alcohol ink and plug-in sprays. So I'm going to use, bring them out here, this one and this one. I'm going to save these bigger ones for another project. I used a bunch of different flowers on them. Okay, so I'm going to peel this back one off because I don't want that big of one. And I'm just going to layer these 2 small ones. And I'm putting them right in the center of my keyhole here. I'm going to spray them though, and I'm going to add a drop of alcohol ink to the center. Well, that one got completely alcohol inked, but you know what I mean. Okay. And then I'm going to blot off the excess. Now it's super wet. Hopefully we can still get it to adhere. It probably won't because it's super, super wet now. But we're going to try. So I just put a dab of hot glue right there in the center of the keyhole. And then push the flower down in there so it'll be dimensional. And then add the other one on top. And just like that. I like to use the end of a paintbrush because you can kind of push it and make them super dimensional. Even though this is wet right now, when it dries, it'll be really dimensional. Okay, when the wings dry, we're going to add those to that, and that one will be completed. So we'll set it to the side for now. We're going to go ahead and go to this one, and we're going to be making this one right here. So again, we're going to take more of the metal pieces from Prima, which are beautiful. Let me grab the right one really quickly. Okay, so I'm going to take this one off. I did gesso it first too. And we're going to kind of do a little different color scheme on this one. I'm going to go in with the frost again. So it literally just takes like 2 squirts, and this stuff is super opaque, so it just really soaks up in there. Let me grab a paintbrush real quick. I don't want to waste that color glue. So kind of spread it out there. I love how opaque this is. It's amazing. Okay, so already you've got a shabby chic metal piece. I mean, that's all it took was a couple of sprays of the color bloom. This one I pretty much want like all blue. So I'm going to go in with my oil pastels. Let me grab it really quickly. And the item number for these, let me see which side it is. It is 814328. So I'm going to grab this light blue that you can tell I have used an incredible amount. And I'm just going to roughly rub it right there on my glass mat. And that's all I need right there. That's what I love about these. You only have to use such a small amount. Okay. Grabbing my watercolor brush again, adding a drop of water, and I'm just going to work that color up. Okay, and just add it on there, everywhere. It's going to mix with that white and make a really soft, pretty blue color. Okay. And then just for some contrast, I'm going to use the soft teal again. Okay. So I like to let these air dry on their own, but since, you know, we're live, I'm going to have to kind of dab it a little bit so it doesn't take so long. But you can get some really pretty effects. This is that one, but we've still got one more step to do to it. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and add the Dresden around the edge of this one, and you can see this paste has dried already, so it already looks really cool. Just a really cool way to add some dimension. So I'm going to glue my Dresden around. Let me face this one my way. The edge over here. Again, I'm going to use hot glue. Just make sure you put it on there straight, unlike what I just did. Okay. I wish I could see what y'all are talking about, but I can't keep up with the chat tonight. Not talented enough. Okay. So we're just coating one edge of it with the Dresden. Okay, for this one I'm going to use, and I really had fun when I was picking out my wheels for these. I used different embellishments from Prima, the buttons from the Junkyard Findings, all kinds of different items. So for this one, let's use these little memory buttons. I'm going to just put hot glue for now, but like I said clearly, when this is over, I'm going to have to... I put this on the wrong side too, but you know what? We're going to go with it. No, I didn't. Goodness. Hold on a second. Okay. I'm going to use hot glue, but we all know that's not really going to hold up. So I'm going to have to change it out after the show's over. Because it doesn't like to hold metal very well. Okay, so you can see right there, you're going to have a problem with this kind of wobbling. So really quickly, I'm going to show y'all how I got rid of that. I took my stems, and I'm going to go ahead and get some really quickly. You know, when you have your Prima products, you either use the stem or you don't use the stem. I never use my stems. So let me unwind this really quickly. So I just take 2 of them and kind of weave them together. Gin and mild. I'm listening to what y'all are saying. Okay. So I just kind of wrapped it together, twisted it. I'm going to fold it in half, and I know this might look ugly, but you're not going to be able to see this. It's going to be on the back, so don't even worry about it. And I'll show you also on one of them, you can add a pretty flower and totally mask it, but I'm not worried about it. I'm going to add just a little tiny strip of hot glue because you don't want like a bunch of excess glue to be showing. And I'm just going to add the little L-shaped piece right there on there. And like I said, if you want to cover this up with a flower, feel free to. It does not bother me because it's on the back, and I don't think my niece is going to be looking at the back of this. I just don't think she cares. So what that does is gives you a little stand. So now this one stands completely on its own, completely fine. So without that little piece, it's not going to stand up unless you use really good wheels that are going to hold it up. So I pretty much did that to all of mine, well, most of mine. This one, you know, I used a flower to cover it up, but I'm not worried about it. Okay, so let me adhere my metal piece on this one. And I wish I could get my heat tool out, but it's so loud and it takes so long, so we're just going to skip it and adhere this how it is. So mind you, the original version does look a little different. On this one, we're going to add it where this bottom part is going to kind of come down further than the wheels, or I mean right where the wheels are. It's going to kind of go down like that, if that makes sense. I'm going to use hot glue just for time. And I had different shaped blocks on the original one, but I had used all the cool looking ones, like they had arches at the bottom, and these are all the square ones left. So okay, and I did stick that down straight so you won't see. You can see now, you're not going to see that piece back there at all. Okay, so that is that one so far. Now let me grab a couple more embellishments. I'm going to use a button from the Lyric collection, an oldie but a goodie. The item number is 564995. I love these wooden buttons. I mean, these just match everything. Lyric was one of my all-time favorite collections, so can't get enough of it. And I'm going to use the butterfly one because I love it. Okay, I'm going to go up here and grab my flowers too really quickly. These are one of my favorite flowers that Prima's ever released. They are with the Royal Menagerie line, and they're the little like velvet flowers. The item number is 583323, and these ones are called Beatrix. And I did stick some of the pink purple ones in there, but they don't go. It's usually just the blue and green. So I'm going to get a couple of those out because we'll use it on a bunch of them. And I usually pull off the sequin. I don't know, just I don't like the sequin as much, so I just kind of pull it off. So we're going to glue this to the left side of the metal, just right there. Let me get another glue gun stick really quickly. I'll try to do this backwards, that way y'all can see what I'm doing. Okay, we're going to add our wooden button. I'll put that first actually, right in the center there. So I'm putting that right on the top of that metal. And for some reason it's not sticking. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to add my little flower to the side of it. These little flowers are so perfect. I love the size of them. Okay, I'm using some pieces from the Junkyard Finding collection for the center of my flowers. These are like the little, I can't think of the technical name, but it comes from, it's on the product supply list. And I'm just going to add it right to the center. Okay, I'm going to add something coming up the flock. I think I used Yeah, I used a smaller one here, but we're going to use a bigger clock hand piece kind of coming up the center here. Really quickly, let me tuck this in here too. I have one coming out the back, so I'm going to cut this one in half. I don't like to waste, and if half of this is not going to be shown, I'm not going to waste my flower. So I cut it in half and tuck it down in there. And a lot of times your scissors are perfect for pushing things down under pieces. So I'm just going to tuck it like that. So it's like that so far. Now I'm going to add my little, instead of adding a clock hand, I think I'm actually going to add, this is from the Stamp and Add, it's like a little pin nib. So I'm going to add that piece right down the center of my butterfly, as if it's like the body of it. Okay, I'm going to use some of the new trims from Prima. This is the smaller one, and the item number is 583026. I love these little flowers. You can cut them apart and tuck them behind everything. Perfect for layering. So again, I'm going to cut this in half because I'm only using half of it. I'm not wasting any. Okay, so I'm going to have this coming out from back here, just like that. It's just about layering. Add what you want. You know, if you don't want to add anything, just take a minimalist approach, but I like to add lots of details. Okay. Alright, so that one's ready to go minus the bottle on the top. So here's what we have so far. And don't mind the glue strings. Now, I love the new vials from Frank and the Memory Hardware. They are super, super awesome. The Montpellier, I don't know how to pronounce that, Apothecary vials, and the item number is 990619. We're going to use one of these small ones. And I always ruin the packaging on this, so I'm not even going to attempt to not. And I am just going to cut out one of these small ones. Okay. And we are going to add it right to the top. But before we do that, I don't know if you guys have seen the new labels. They are amazing. These fit the big and small bottles. You get like a ton of them. The item number is, let me look here, 991098. And really quickly, what I did to my other one, I got 3 of these when I ordered them because I really, really like them. Let me grab a paper towel really quickly. This is what I did just to save myself some time, okay? You don't have to do this. But I took my clear gesso, if I can find it here, and I went over the entire sheet with clear gesso. Because usually when I use these stickers, they're going to be getting mediums put on top of them. And you don't want to get the sticky part wet. So what I did is I literally just did it to my entire sticker sheet, and it has really been a lifesaver. You know, clear gesso dries clear. You don't see it at all. It just adds like a chalky finish. So feel free to skip this step if you don't do messy mediums. But for me, this saved me so much time and hassle doing it this way. So I wanted to add that tip really quickly. Okay. So now I have all of mine gessoed. So when I add mediums on top, they're not going to buckle underneath the sticker part because they are going to be strong. The bottles and stickers are amazing. I mean, they are just super cool. So we're going to go ahead and adhere this one on the left side. The thing with the trains is you're going to need something to attach your chain to. So you're going to use jump rings. So I found all kinds of pieces from my stash to adhere. That way you can take it apart like I did this one, or you cannot. Okay, so what I'm going to use, this is from the Stamp and Add too. Let me grab my little piece here if I can find it. Yep, there it is. It's a little flat key piece. So I'm going to have it coming right off of the edge. That way I can adhere my jump ring to it, because you have to have your train connected somehow. So I'm adhering the body of the key, but leaving that decorative edge off like that. So that way the jump ring can go on it. Okay? So I'm going to add that like that. And then I'm going to add my bottle right beside that. And after it's on there, I'm going to add my label. And I'm going to wait till I get it on there because I want to make sure my placement is perfect. Okay. Alright, so just added it just like that. You can fill that with glitter, whatever you want to do. Let's see which one I used. Okay, I used this one right here. And this one's, I should grab my other pack because this is a little wet now. But, you know, let's use a different one then. Let's go with this one. Okay. So just be easy when you're pulling these off. You don't want to rip it. That one's perfect. Okay. So these little labels are just absolutely adorable. I mean, they are just perfect, perfect, perfect. So I'm just going to line this up on my bottle and adhere it on there. Okay, so this little train is done. All you got to do is add your jump ring and you're good to go. Now at the very end when I go in with my sprays and stuff, because I gessoed that, it's going to stay and it's not going to buckle. You don't have to worry about anything. So this one's ready to go. Okay, put that one to the side. Now we're going to go to the coal one, and that'll be the last one I do after I finish up that one. To make this part, I just added more of that Dresden around the edge of it, just to kind of enclose the mimicking the coal. So I'm going to go with my hot glue again, and add a good amount there. And I'm going to be using all scrap pieces of the Dresden for this. These are all little pieces that are left over from the other blocks. So I'm just adhering it all the way around, just kind of framing that coal. Then I need a little bit more on the back, so this piece might be just perfect. So save all your little scraps of Dresden, because sometimes you're going to need a tiny little piece. So this is still not dry. I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but it is not going to be dry for a while because it's a lot of medium. So we're just going to ignore that part for now. Okay, so we're going to grab a couple of flowers from our stash here. This is from the Epiphany collection. It's just a bigger flower and I absolutely love it. I took the center out because I'm going to use this on another cart. And then once again, I'm going to cut it in half because I'm only going to be showing half of it. So I'm not going to waste, okay? So I'm going to adhere half of it to the right side, just like that. And once you have your hot glue, you can kind of pinch it and get it to kind of come in smaller, if that makes sense. Just kind of bunch the petals together more because it was a little too large. So now I've really shrunk the flower just by kind of pinching the center in on itself. And it worked out much better. Now I'm going to use the bigger trim. This one's the magnolia one, so you can see the difference. The flowers are just bigger, fluffier, but they're all amazing. The item number is 583002. Okay. I'm going to add this right to the center here. I'm going to add hot glue there. And add my little flower, just like that. Okay, on the original one I used a butterfly and I did the same technique that I did with the wings with the metal foil and all that. But you know what, we're running out of time, so we're just going to stick our, and instead of using the this piece from the Memory Hardware, I'm going to use this one. You just want something that will give you a connection to your jump ring. And this piece is beautiful, and it's got a piece right there to connect to. So I'm just going to adhere this right there like that. Actually, I don't really like the way that looks. So I lied. Never mind. We're going back to this pool because I just don't like that one as much. Okay, so we're going to adhere it with the loop facing left. So just stick it right in the center of your little flower. Now for the little wheels on, and you can see how easy that one was, like how quick and easy was that. These don't have to be elaborate. It's up to you how much you do. I love these little pieces right here, the Seidan crystals from the Royal Menagerie. The number's 582326. I loved adding these just randomly on my little train pieces. Let's add one right there. And that one's not sticking. I took the sticky part off. Hold on. A little bit of glue. These are just the prettiest Seidan crystals ever. They're just absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so for the feet on this one, I think I'm going to use, let's see here, from the Junkyard Findings. This is the jeans buttons, and the number's 891640, and I'm going to use 2 of these as my wheels. I used thimbles on one of them. I used little wooden spools for the wheels on one of them. It's really fun to just kind of go through your stash. I used gears on one, and to just kind of see what works. And like I said, if it's wobbly, just use the little trick I showed you, and that will make anything stand up. I've had to do stuff like that before to make things. This one stands on its own now, so you don't have to worry about it. Only some of them you'll have to worry about on. Okay, so that one is done and ready to go. And when the coal dries, coal I'm calling it, it's going to look really hardened like that. And then what I did is I took the, I might be able to do it. Let's see here. That cold pink iridescent mica powder, I just took it and randomly kind of created waves on there. Hopefully you can see that. Just randomly added some more dimension, just like that. So it looks really pretty and shimmery. Okay, so those are done. We've got one more to do. I figured we would get 3 done. We might be a few minutes over, but we're close. We're just going to finish this one up really quickly. Okay, this is dry now, and like I said, this was just for the front part of it to be your little smokestack. And what I did, if you get the chandelier relics and artifacts, they come with these little top pieces, and I took one of those off, and that was my base, okay? And then on this one, I just like put latches, and I put like clock hands at the bottom where the gears. I tried to make it, I really tried to mimic a train on some of them. Other ones I didn't. I just kind of went freestyle, but some of them I try to, kind of get a little close to what it would actually look like. Alright, so we're going to go back to this one, and all we have left to do is add our wings and our top part for a jump ring. So let me grab that really quickly. To make my jump rings attached to this cart, I took a clock hand from the Ingold Foam line. Let's see, I think I've got one of them over here. Yeah, so it comes in the pack like this. This is probably my all-time favorite item. The number is 891589, so I'm just taking a long black one. And all I'm going to do is clip right there onto it, and then bend it at a 90 degree. I want the loop to hang off the side for a jump ring. So hopefully you guys can see that now. I've just been at a 90 degree angle. So now I can adhere it right off the side, and then I can attach my jump ring right there. So that way all of my trains connect. Okay, using hot glue again. I'm just going to set it right there in the center. Okay, so it looks like that. It's a subtle detail. You really almost don't even see it, especially when the wings are on there, but you need something to attach your jump ring to. Okay, now we're going to attach our wings. They're not completely dry, and unfortunately, it's not going to be the same effect as the other ones because this is a layering process. You'll definitely be able to tell the difference between the two, but we're going to go for it. So I used the matte gel to adhere my wings, but for time, I'm going to go with hot glue again. So you're only going to have like 2 places on these to adhere. This is a funny shaped item, and there's no flat parts. So I just picked the biggest raised area to put my glue on, and I just kind of check my placement. So I'm going to put glue here and here because those are the only 2 places that are going to touch the back. So I'm going to put a pretty liberal amount. I never really worry about the back of my project because I can fix everything in the back. I can always add flowers and decorate it. So I'm just going to hold that on there just like that. So that's what it's going to look like on the back. The hot glue is going to seep out a little bit, but I am totally not worried about it. Yes, I live in Florida. I'm just now looking at this. I wish someone would come visit me. Yes, I'm in Panama City. If anybody ever comes down here, please let me know. I would love to hang out with y'all, seriously. Okay, so we got one wing attached. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other one. We're just going to kind of feel which area is going to show. And put the glue in the most raised areas that aren't going to show on the front. And then after it's done, you can kind of add more details. I will think I'm done with a project, and then I'll come back the next day and add like a gazillion details. I think that's my problem with getting done in the time frame, is because I never really stop. I'm always adding details. Okay, so that's staying for now. The hot glue probably won't hold up. Now this one is definitely going to be back heavy because these wings are really heavy. So we're going to definitely need to do one of those. And actually, look at that. It's staying up. Right when I say that, it's staying up on its own. But if you have to do the same thing with the little wire things, you can totally do that. Okay, so we got these three done. Let's see. I might do one more really quickly. Let's do this one super quickly. We might go over like 10 minutes, but it's worth it to get one more done. We're going to do this one really quick. And again, this one has the same thing on the back to keep it held up. Okay, I'm going to use some of the wood icons from the Epiphany collection, one of my all-time favorites. The item number is 576059. I'm going to be using this frame here, which I love, and I always use the back of it for some reason. I never typically use the front, okay? So I'm going to grab that, and then I'm going to grab the wood icons from the Royal Menagerie, which are amazing. I loved this love one. It's super pretty. So I'm going to grab those. And what I'm going to do to this is I'm going to color it with my palette markers. These things are perfect for little small surfaces, intricate, like how else are you going to color this little tiny edge of this frame? It's amazing how tiny and intricate they can do things. So I'm coloring it with that. Okay, but I don't do all of it. I leave some of the wood showing. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, then I'm going to take my little wood icon. I'm going to do the same thing with my 3D matte gel and the foil. And this is another way to use up that excess foil that you're going to have. You're always going to have leftover foil on those sheets. So I'm just being very liberal with it. I don't want full coverage, but it won't cover it all the way anyway. So, oh, here's a scrap piece. Okay, so here's a scrap piece. I mean, this is kind of a lot, but the rest of this is all scraps. So I'm just going to take it and just randomly, you can use your fingernail to kind of push the back of it. I'm just going to randomly adhere it on there. Okay, that's good for me. So we use those up. Now you can't see the love. So all you're going to do is take something with a sharp edge. I'm going to try, yep, paintbrush works too. And just kind of go around and punch through where that metal foil is at, so you can actually read your word again. Okay, so now it says love again. Alright, so we're going to just put that right on the center of this one. And we do have this stenciling. Don't even worry about it. It's actually going to give you dimension, so it's pretty cool the way that works out. Okay, so I'm going to add that right to the center. And then before I add this on top, all I did to this one, it was so super easy. I took the new chain from the Memory Hardware line, and these are out of the package, so I'm sorry if I don't have it. But I just measured 2 lengths of chain at different sizes. So one that big. Let's see here. Let's see if we need a bigger or smaller. One a little bit longer than that. And yes, I'm using my Timmy scissors for it. Don't kill me. Okay, and I'm going to use some of the new jump rings from the Memory Hardware collection as well. Let's see, I see one small one over here. Hopefully I have another one. I think all I have left are the large ones. You got to be kidding me. Which, I love these large ones, but it's not going to work for now. Alright, so we're going to attach it to one side, and then we might have to glue it to the other. So I just added the chain to the jump rings, just like that. And you can use 2 different colors, whatever you want. And then just look on your frame for a good loop right in the middle of one part. And just close it up. Okay. Just like that. Now, essentially, we need another jump ring. Let me find one really quickly. You know what? I'm going to take one off here. Sorry, little buddy. I'm robbing your jump ring. Don't be mad at me. Okay. Taking the jump ring off of there. So then just take that one, line it up on the chain too. And go back on the other side, right in the middle. Again, you want these to be perfectly lined up, so make sure it's right there. Okay, and then go right on the other side. Get it through there. Yeah, Timmy scissors are awesome. I love that I can cut through anything and not worry about it. So we just created like a little dangling tassel, okay? And then we're just gonna glue it right on top of there. And even though it has like that jagged sun-looking shape to it, you're not gonna see that at all because that's gonna cover it up. Okay, so I'm gonna add just a tiny bit of hot glue to the edges, just a little bit. Then pull my chain forward so I'm not gluing it behind me, and adhere my little frame there. And I did this chain just a little bit too long, but you can see the effect that you're gonna get. It's gonna be like that, okay? Then you need another connector piece because everything has to connect on here. So let's see, you can literally grab anything from your stash. I've got gears here, you could put a gear on the side, you could put anything that you have. This would be kind of cool on the side. But you can see on this one what I used was one of those clasps from Ingold Bohm, the door latches, but I don't have any more and I'm not going to pull it off because money's going to kill me. So I'm going to use, let's see here. I'm not seeing anything to use. Let's just use one of these guys. And then we can just hook the jump ring to it. Okay, so this side will be held by that. Okay, right down there. And then you'll just need one for this side as well. We could put a little flower right here in the corner. I'm gonna kind of add that up there because it just looks pretty. I love taking the centers of my Prima flowers apart because they're like a little flower all on their own. I mean, how cute is that little guy? That's absolutely adorable. Okay, so that is pretty much it. You can't stand those flowers. Carrie, which ones are y'all talking about here? Okay, anyways, so here's this one. All we need to do is add some bottoms to it. I'm going to use these little jean buttons again, and then we're done. So these little tiny buttons right here, those are going to be my wheel on this one. The Junkyard Findings line from Ingold Bohm is definitely my all-time favorite. I mean, there's pieces in there that I don't think I do a single project without using. They're just amazing. All right, so we've got our bottoms on there, and we are good to go. So like I said, you just want to make sure you give something to hook a jump ring to on all of them. My jump ring could hook here for the left side, and then it can hook on that one for the right side. So this piece is pretty much done. So these are the ones we've made tonight. They may not be as perfect as the original counterpart ones, but you know, it takes a lot to, where'd the other one go? To do this live and get it done in time. Okay, so I hope that everybody learned something, maybe, possibly. When you're done with all of it and all of your mediums are dry, definitely go in with like a paintbrush and dip it in your color blooms and add a little bit more color. I'm going to add 2 really quickly, and that is it. It's just really fun to, hold on, let me get that one working. There we go. It's just really fun to keep adding like color on there. So like these wings, I'm definitely going to add some more of the soft teal bring those out more. And if you let it air dry, it's going to really be super, super opaque. It's really going to show up on there. If you heat set things, I have found it just does not look as well. So I usually just add it on there like that and let it sit, okay? So I love altering these metal pieces. You can go in afterwards and add more color right to the center there with that flower. Just add as many details as you want to. Go crazy with it. But I hope that y'all learned something. Try using your palette markers on things. I thought I would never use my palette markers, but I have found so many uses for them. It's insane, especially on like ornate pieces like this and the Dresden trim. They work perfectly. So does anybody have any questions? Let me put the original one up here while I'm finishing so everybody can look at it. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, I really appreciate everybody coming out tonight and watching the show. You guys are amazing. I wish I could have caught up with the chat a little better, but I can't multitask like that. This was my favorite one, and I didn't even get to do it with y'all. So that's just how it works. So run out of time. Okay. So anyway, there's our little choo-choo train. I hope that you guys learned something new. If not, I didn't do my job very well, so I'm sorry, y'all. Okay. I learned that I need more stash, yeah. I didn't breathe, I'm telling you. It's like non-stop. I had to focus, and I still went 16 minutes over. I hope that you guys like it. I know it's definitely not a typical project. It's not, you know, something you're going to do every day, but it's really fun to do for home decor. So I made one of these in the past. It's super fun. Okay, thank you, Delana, for modding. You did an amazing job. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. I really genuinely appreciate it. It's nice to be here again. It's been a while. So thank you guys so much. If you could see the mess around me right now, if anybody wants to come clean, I will pay you in Prima Product, okay? We can just swap out. Thank you, guys. I hope you learned at least one thing. That will make me happy. Okay. All right, I'm going to hit stop record. Thank you guys so much. Have a beautiful, beautiful night. Delana, you rock. Thank you.